So, Patrick, congratulations, Sky Bet Player of the Month. What do you think has underpinned that? I mean, the team's been on good form recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that whenever you do well as a striker, um, unless you're Messi, someone like that caliber, you always rely on your teammates, and they're going to be the ones that are always feeding you. So, yeah, the striker gets recognised for the award and stuff, but it's one of them where without your team behind you and everyone doing well, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just December, really, isn't it? I think from sort of the latter part of November, the team's form really has picked up. Obviously, there was the bad start to the season. Obviously, you weren't around for that. Then it was a little bit patchy, and but that consistency is so important in the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the main thing. I think that the teams that are the most consistent generally are the ones that finish towards the top end of the table. And yeah, as you said, since I know the club didn't have the best start to the season, but obviously all I can speak on is since I've been here, and I knew as soon as I started training with the boys that there was enough quality to be at the top end of the table. And then it was just about putting that into the consistency. And we've had a few games where we've slipped up a little bit and not quite been as good as probably the weeks before. Obviously, Wrexham and West Brom, but in general, we've been very good. And I think it's just about kind of keeping that, extending that run and that consistency as long as we can.
Now, of course, it wasn't the league at the weekend. It was the FA Cup, and obviously, an exciting game, but lost 3-2 in the end. Disappointed to be out of the cup, or was it a blessing in disguise for you guys?
No, I think that sometimes like, I hate it when people say, "Oh, yeah, it's a good thing to be out of the cup to concentrate," um, because it's one of them things where if any footballer got the chance to win the FA Cup, then they'd bite your hand off for it. So I think everyone was disappointed to be out of it. It would have been nice. It's one of them things where the way the season's started and kind of where we've been at, to have a cup run would have been nice, and winning kind of breeds confidence and makes you win more. So it was disappointing to lose and to get knocked out of that.
See that Jan Hoover made his debut. What did you make of him?
Yeah, good. He's come in and settled well, to be fair. It's one of the things about this group. It's a very good group, and they make it easy to settle into. Obviously, I found that coming in when I did, and I'm sure he'd say the same if you asked him. And obviously, I know that obviously we lost the game, but he came in, played like 55, 60 minutes, and he did well.
Now, you know this league inside out. A very exciting division. At the moment, Sheffield United 9 points adrift of the playoffs. We know this league, don't we? We know that if you get on a run of form, that's nothing at this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, I only have to look a few seasons back. I think Leicester were like 17 points clear or something. Um, and they ended up getting dragged back to being a lot closer than that. And 9 points, as you say, when it's the championship, you often have 3 game weeks. So within one week, that can be cut down by quite a bit. So, like we mentioned before, the consistency element of it is crucial because there are so many multi-game weeks that it doesn't take long at all to turn that around and close the gap.
Now, can I ask you, Patrick, what was it that made you want to join Sheffield United? Of course, Sheffield United and Leeds have been rivals for years, and you've played
Yeah.
against obviously Sheffield United for other clubs as well. What was it that made you think, yeah, this is the next step of my journey?
To be honest, it was when it happened. Obviously, I'd been training with Coventry and thought everything was sorted there. And when that fell through, it was the phone call from Chris. Um, I think as a footballer, at any point in your career, you want a manager that really values you and wants you, but is also really honest. And when he rang me, it was on. It's not the first time we spoke on the phone because obviously we spoke at the end of last season. But I got that impression from him, and I knew kind of what he was about. I've known enough players who played under him. So it was a great situation for me, obviously, to be able to come in, and obviously it worked out well in terms of the club were looking for a striker at the time, so it fit perfectly.
You've already tackled it already about the banter that you two well documentedly exchanged. But what was that like? I mean, of course, you rang him the next day, you apologised, so that was all water under the bridge anyway. And I suppose if you can give it out, you got to take it back as well, haven't you? So there's been banter, obviously, from his point of view as well. But I mean, have you had a bit of banter with the lads about that since you've come in? Has he had some banter with you as well?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you give it, you've got to take it, be able to take it. And for me, I'm probably any my closest friends and family say that like I take the mick out of myself just as much as anyone else. And so I think the manager's quite like that as well, in terms of like he knows that he gives enough out that he's got to be able to take it. Um, and he made a joke about it. Obviously, the lads made a joke about it when I first came in. But yeah, it's kind of one of them where you know how things in football that was months ago now, and it soon gets forgotten about. So
Yeah. Yeah, but actually, it's quite important not to take yourself too seriously sometimes. And I know that you have always found great amusement, have you? For example, of that parody account. I remember that years ago when that took off. So it's always been something that you've never minded, really, is it?
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if you take yourself too seriously, you get caught up in a load of stuff that would just drive you crazy.
Now,
Um, so yeah, so I try and like, I'm quite light-hearted about most things and love fun and laugh at a joke, even if it's at my own expense.
now, can I ask you, having been a rival of Sheffield United and a rival of Chris Wilder down the years, what did you always make of Chris? You know, when you were playing against him, him personally, the teams that he put out, and Sheffield United, of course, as a club.
So I knew before having ever spoken to Chris, if I was just to say what did I think of his teams, I knew that with his teams you never get an easy game. Um, they were always well drilled in terms of everything that you throw at them. They had kind of had an answer for, but also I think that the way now I've worked with him and I see how he is as a person, his teams kind of magnify that, if you like, because they really are hard working, fight for everything. You've got to work for everything and give everything to a game and not worry about after. And one of the things he always says is if you get 60, 70 minutes and you spend, then we've got people on the bench. So it's like give it your all, don't like hold back. And yeah, I don't think I've ever had an easy game against any of his teams.
And I think as well, he wears his art on his sleeve, doesn't he? Which of course is important for footballers to do that as well. But because he's a fan of the club, I suppose he can transmit that to all the players as well.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes when, well, I mean, it's rare nowadays in football that you get a manager who's managing a club that he's a fan of and grown up as like as a kid being a fan of the club, and I think that automatically brings some connection between the fans and the clubs and the club even closer. And then he knows what it means to be a fan, so he can easily translate that and put it onto his players as to what it means to everybody else in the city and make sure that we understand it and what it means to be able to put on that shirt. And I think as a group of lads, we've took that on well. And most of the time since I've been here, we've got it right. And as I said, there's been a couple of times where we've not quite been at the races or done it justice.
Can I ask you, Patrick? I mean, when you came in, the team was in a bit of a spot. I think that's fair enough, isn't it? In
Yeah.
a sort of the bottom part of the table, bottom three. I think it may be fourth bottom, something like that. Was that never a concern for you? Were you always confident that no, there's just too much quality there. They're going to climb the table eventually, and you can help them.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the players that were still here, and then obviously I knew that Chris had just recently taken over as well. So regardless of whether I'd joined or not, I knew that Sheffield by the end of the season would be pushing towards the top end of the table rather than hovering around the bottom four. So that wasn't something that even crossed my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, and of course the opportunity to be playing week in week out again, that must have been really good. It must be nice that you're getting these games under your belt again because it's been a while, hasn't it, where since you've had that consistency of starting matches.
Yeah, I mean, every footballer they want to play football, and I think like if you look at our team, we've got four strikers: me, Ingsy, Ty, and Tom. And arguably, I think there's not many teams that have four strikers in the division, but I don't think there's any that have got four better strikers. Um, and I think that we kind of know as strikers that yeah, you might start, but you start one game. But if you're coming on for 20, 30 minutes, and then you've got just as good a chance of starting the game as any of the other three. So it's quite a good union. And yeah, I think that I've forgotten what your question was.
No, I was just saying about just that opportunity of playing week in, week out.
Sorry,
It must
yeah,
be so nice to be starting games. You're actually, obviously, you could be dipped in and out of matches as well, of course, but you're actually starting some matches at
yeah,
long last.
yeah. You can't replicate that. And obviously it's something you miss, and you get kind of a little bit of rhythm with it as well. And I think that it's the one thing that no matter what you do in training, off the pitch, away from the stadiums and stuff, you cannot get that match fitness anywhere else, match sharpness. So not only is it the most enjoyable aspect of being a footballer, it's also kind of probably the most important.
How do you feel that you guys, the four of you, are gelling as strikers? That little strikers union that you just mentioned. Of course, yourself and obviously Danny Ings has got vast Premier League experience, and then obviously Tyree. So no, how does it all work between the four of you?
Good, as I said, the group in general, really good group. And us as four strikers are really good as well in terms of me and Ingsy a little bit older, a bit more experience than the other two. So we can help them. Like if I'm not playing, I'm trying to help Ty and Tom. Ingsy's doing the same if he's not playing, trying to help whoever's starting. And it's just kind of that camaraderie is good in terms of it's it's not like I know everyone would want to play, but it's not like they're kind of having negative feelings towards the others who are playing. Do you know what I mean? Where I've seen that at other clubs and that happen. Here it's like kind of all one unity and one team, which is nice.
Now, I understand you did a lot of work with a fitness coach in the summer, is that right? And maybe before that, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Could you just tell us a little bit about the work that you did and how that sort of helped you really going forward?
yeah. So I worked with him. I think started properly working with him a few years ago, and then in the off season, obviously after Leeds got promoted last year, there was the biggest break I'd had in years. Like I think it was like 7 or 8 weeks or something. Um, so I said, fine, I'll have like the first 10 days enjoying myself, and then from then I'm just working Monday to Monday to Friday, but sometimes Monday to Saturday. Just training every day and working on what I can do to get kind of stronger, fitter, more like robust. So I did that with Dane, and obviously had holidays in between, but just took him with us wherever we went. Um, and then yeah, worked through pre-season. Obviously, it wasn't a normal pre-season for me at the club, but then especially when I was training on my own, I was just working with him every day in the mornings until lunchtime and just trying to stay in as good a position as I could be for when the chance came to go to a club. And I think without Dane's help, and obviously it's through a company, Ben, who I knew from England, who's a fitness coach at England. Without those guys and everyone who worked like behind the scenes, I probably wouldn't have been able to come in here and like hit the ground running as I
Yeah.
have.
Because I think you got released by Leeds in August when you mutually agreed to part ways. So what happened in the intervening time between leaving Leeds and joining Sheffield United? Was it just working with your fitness coach, and or did you get any break at all, or was there no time to?
No, so I literally worked with him every day as if. So I tried to keep it as if I was with the team in terms of the amount of distance I'd do per day, like the sprint distance, all of that stuff. So I tried to keep the metrics as similar as it would be if I was training with the team. So we kind of kept that plan through each week, and I think there was only a time where it was the international break. I think in October, maybe
Yeah.
September, October. I had 3 days. I went away and played golf 3 days.
Oh, anywhere nice?
Yeah, we went to it was near Lisbon, just outside of Lisbon.
Nice,
So yeah, it
nice.
was nice. So just with my
How's your
friends from home. Yeah.
What's your golf handicap nowadays? Have you got one?
Uh, 16, but it's not that at the minute. Like I haven't had a chance to play since. So yeah.
Obviously, you departed Leeds. You've been there for quite a while, and obviously a legend there. You must be immensely proud of what you achieved, and it's taken to where you are now. Obviously, you won promotion to the Premier League twice. You've played in the Premier League, and you've played for England. So you must reflect on it with great fondness.
Yeah, I think that it's one of them where when you're still in it and playing football, you don't really you do have time, but you don't really ever think about like what you've done in terms of, oh wow, that's a great achievement. Because especially me, like I'm always looking at what's the next thing and concentrating on what's next and pushing forward. Um, like when you say that, of course, I'm immensely proud that I was able to wear the number 9 for Leeds for so long and do the things that I managed to do. But I feel like it's when I finish football and sit down and look back at it that I'll probably be like, yeah, do you know what? Fair play, you've done well. But
Yeah.
whilst I'm in it, that's not something I tend to look back on.
Yeah, but and also, of course, you came on like a short-term deal when you initially signed, and now
Yeah.
they're giving you an 18-month deal. You must be so pleased that not only Chris obviously likes you, but the club have backed him up as well by giving you that security of an 18-month contract.
Yeah, I think that obviously when I originally came in on the short term, I think it was 2 months. That was kind of something that fitted both parties in terms of it suited the club and it suited me at the time as well. And then when it came to that kind of running out, it was more about, look, this has been good. Like things have gone well. How can we move forward that's going to suit both parties again? And both the club and Chris were brilliant. And I knew, to be honest, I knew about, I think it was probably 3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after signing originally, um, that they wanted me to stay. It was just sometimes it just takes, yeah, for things to get hashed out. But I'm glad that it did. And obviously, I'm really happy here.
Can I ask you how much are you enjoying being the elder statesman in terms of being out to help some of the younger lads? Because there's quite a few young players in the squad, isn't there? There's some really good talent, actually. How do you find that particular role?
Do you know what? I actually really enjoy it. I think that, of course, like the main thing is I enjoy playing. But I try and help youngsters like wherever I can, really. Um, Obviously, Tom Cannon's only 22, 23,
Mm, mm.
which is a youngster, and it's like it's strange because he's so mature as well for his age. Like I don't wouldn't think of him being that old, but I try and give him tips. Obviously, Ty give him tips as well. Anything that I can do to help him and encourage him, and obviously the things I've been through and the things that obviously I've seen happen on the pitch and what might help. I try even with um, going back to Leeds, Harry Gray when he first came up. I tried to help him as much as he can, and I think he actually texted me the other day before he went on loan. I'm sure he won't mind me saying, asking my thoughts, and I went through, spent about half an hour going through what the options were and kind of negatives, positives, and just sending him a message of what my thoughts were and what I think that would be best for him. And obviously, it's nice to be asked these things as well. It's like the fact that he kind of lent on me for a little bit of advice is almost, I don't want to say like an ego boost, but that my opinion counts. And I'm happy if I can help him in any way, then I will.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a good loan for him, doesn't it? And of course, he's so young, isn't he? There's just so much, so many years ahead of him
Yeah.
that it's just important to develop at this age, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the best thing is playing men's football. And look, I've seen him, I remember all the fuss about him when he was like 14, 15. I went to watch one of the under eight, I think it was an under 23s game. It was at the training ground. And I went purely just to watch him because I've not seen him play yet. And obviously saw what he was about straight away. So yeah, it's gonna be good for him. I think he's gonna learn a lot and he's got a lot of potential and he can take it as far as he wants.
Patrick, you're only 32. I know in football you're almost written off once you're 30, aren't you, by some people, but still very
Nowadays,
young.
yeah.
But
Nowadays, when everything's a business, so you get to 30, everyone's like, yeah, you're old and decrepit.
But how do you look forward to these future years? Obviously, 18 months at Sheffield
Yeah.
United. Obviously, you enjoying playing football. Do you ever have any sort of one eye on anything else? What you might do later? Have you ever given it any thought? Are you ever planning for anything? Do you ever fancy going to coaching, all that sort of stuff, TV puntry, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought about in the back of my head, even when I was younger, what I'd like to do. Like, I know that football doesn't last for the rest of your life. And I've always liked the idea of being in football in some kind of way. Um, I will end up doing I'll do my coaching badges, but not necessarily to be a coach or manager.
Hmm.
Obviously, it does open the door to doing that if I fancied it, but just because it gives me a great insight, I quite like the idea of going down the TV route. I feel like doing coaching badges just helps you understand the game from a different point of view as well, which can only help no matter what I'm doing.
What is it about the TV side of things that appeals? Is it, what do you think of that? Do you just like the idea of being a pundit, do you?
But I just honestly, I love watching like football,
Hmm.
and I love watching like big games, like the big crunch games, and over top of the Championship, the Premier League, Champions League. Like I will try and watch them all if I can. So I think that's the biggest thing that I just enjoy watching football, and obviously like giving my opinion on it when asked as well.
Can I ask you, away from football, do you have any other interests? I mean, obviously you have interests, but do you know what I mean? Was there anything that you're active involved in, or is there, and anything that you do to perhaps chill out and relax? What's your sort of go-to things?
Yeah, like I've got. loads of things that I'm kind of involved in and stuff like that. That will also keep me busy after football. But in terms of like chilling and relaxing, it's just family stuff really.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, being around the family, I guess it takes your mind off football. It's probably not classed as chilling and relaxing if you ask most parents, but it's enjoyable and I love doing it. So anything that involves that.
Just back to Sheffield, how are the fans taken to you? I mean, of course, as a an ex-rival of theirs, how have they taken to you?
I think pretty well. I think that obviously the way that things are going and the club at the minute's on a bit of an upward trajectory. So there's a lot of positivity around kind of everything, and that obviously helps me coming in amongst that. So yeah, I'm really happy with how they've taken to me, and hopefully I can pay that back throughout the season.
I was just about to say, finally, with the 18 months that you've got, hopefully a third promotion from the Championship.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why obviously I was keen to sign because I think that there is a lot of opportunity here. Well, we don't know what's going to happen in the next kind of 4 or 5 months in terms of this season. But as I said before, like I've played against Chris's teams a lot of times, and I know where they normally end up come the end of the season. So